What's up, gang? I'm Jimmy, and we are back at the Surplus Shooter. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the Yugoslavian M48 Mauser. What I think is a really good entry-level Mauser. Maybe you're looking to get into Mauser collecting, and you're kind of overwhelmed by all the different types of Mausers out there, from Argentine Mausers, German-made Mausers, Yugoslavia Mausers, Czech Mausers. There's just so many of them, and you're wondering, am I paying the right price? Am I getting the gun that I desire? Is this worth the money? Well, with the M48 Yugoslavia Mauser, you can be sure that that will fulfill all those desires and everything in which you desire in a Mauser rifle. How we're going to go about describing why I believe this is a good entry-level Mauser, or even your first Mauser, is starting at number 1, price. Then number 2, quality, at least of the build of the rifle itself. And number 3, condition, meaning the overall condition of the rifle you are going to get in particular. Now, don't get the Yugoslavian M48 confused with the Yugoslavian-made Kar 98s in World War II. Those rifles, made in World War II in Yugoslavia for Germany under German occupation, are actually a little more collectible, and if you find those in the cheaper range, you know, $400 to $600, they're probably not in the best condition. Most likely the bores are shot out, they've been counterbored, and highly re-arsenaled. But today we are talking about the Cold War era M48 Mauser. Now, these are Kar 98 patterned Mausers, and they were made on German machinery. We're not going to get too much into history today, but it is worth saying that the Germans passed on the machinery to Yugoslavia after the war, and the M48, the original M48, will be made from 1950 to 1953. About 220 to 230,000 would be made. Now, altogether, the M48 would be produced until 1965, and between the A variant and B variant, there would be about 1.2 million made in total. Now, as you would know, or as you may realize, this was being made alongside the AK-47 and the SKS, which greatly outclass it. So these rifles would not see much combat service or be issued very much at all. They would be rear echelon guard troops, prison guards, things like that, and most of the time they just sat in an armory. So let's get on to our grading scale. Why I think this is the best Mauser to be your first Mauser. Starting at price. These rifles are actually in the cheaper range of Mausers. Now, the original M48s, there's not too many of them, but they're not as highly desired by the premium collectors. So you can still get the original M48s, sometimes for as low as $500, sometimes up to $700. Now, the M48A and B variant, they would have some stamped parts, usually the floor plate and the trigger guard. The original M48 is all milled, making them more desirable, but these parts do not affect performance one bit or accuracy. Going into performance, this rifle you can expect it to perform like a German Kar 98. Very accurate, very reliable. It's a little bit heavier than a German Kar 98, because of the difference in the stock. As you can see, the difference from this and a German Kar 98, you have your full upper handguard encompassing the rear leaf sight. You have no cutout for the bolt, and you have a flat bolt on bottom, which is to aid in chambering the rifle. You have the same Mauser style safety with the half safety. Gun will not fire, but the bolt will come open and you can disassemble the bolt that way. And we have the gun on fire. And we have this light 2-stage trigger with a little pull, a wall, and it breaks. And it is a very nice, crisp trigger. For the last point in grading this rifle, we are going to talk about condition, the condition of these rifles. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these were not really issued. They were made in case Yugoslavia got drug into another massive war, if the Cold War broke out and they needed extra rifles for extra troops. So the vast majority of these got boxed up, coated in cosmoline, and sat in storage for years. Now, the Yugoslavians are very good about taking care of stored weapons. They break them out every 5 years, they clean them, they service them. They don't re-arsenal them like other guns. They just take them out and make sure that they're not rusting and corroding, recoat them in cosmoline, and box them back up. So when you get an M48, they are basically a brand new Kar 98 pattern rifle made on German machinery. Now, of course, you don't have the history of the rifle itself being used in much combat, but it still carries the history of a Kar 98 pattern rifle. Again, made on German machinery, and it will perform just like a Kar 98 made in Germany will. These rifles have minimum wear. My rifle came with, I think the only wear I have on this rifle is a couple scratches on the side. Looks like somebody sat it down rough. And one little scratch right here. And I had a few little spots of pitting on the bolt. But everything else is all original. The Yugoslavian Mausers have the Yugoslavian crest, and they will say M48. If it's an M48B or M48A, it will have that marking. And this also came with a sling. I got a little bit lucky. The original oil can and cleaning kit. And the bayonet. If you could tell me what style bayonet this is, I'm not much of a bayonet collector. If you want to put that in the comments, let me know. I really think the end of these remind me of one of those old school like steak knives or butcher knives. Basically just a kind of push button detent design. Probably slips into a little detent down there, I assume. Press a button and it comes right off. The serial numbers on the bayonet do not match the rifles because they weren't matched to the rifles, but this is more than likely the original bayonet that was originally issued with this rifle. The bayonet itself has matching serial numbers on the frog and the bayonet, and the bayonet is as well stamped along with the rifle and the stock. Much like Russian guns, these guns have a lot of proof marks and stamping, but for now, that is why I think this is a very good choice for an entry-level Mauser for anybody, because when you get your first Mauser, you're going to want to shoot it, right? You don't want to spend $1,000, $2,000, maybe more on some sort of German-made Kar 98 and then be scared to take it to the range, not really know if what you're buying, oh, it looks a little beat up, but is the bore good, isn't it? Especially if you're buying on Gunbroker. With these, you are getting basically a brand new period-era rifle, and it will perform for you just as good as any other Kar 98 out there, or just about as good. I hope this helps you if you're trying to decide on maybe, as I said, your first Mauser or just your first vintage rifle. Look at the Yugo M48s. They're beautiful rifles. Let's get to the range. Let's accuracy test this, and I can prove a lot of the stuff that I just said. All right, we're going to do a 5-shot group with our M48 Mauser. See how the accuracy performs. We're at 75 yards, and let's do it. And today we will be shooting 198 grain rifle line brass full metal jacket. Now, even though this is 8mm Mauser, the recoil on this is very tolerable. I suspect that's due to the weight of the stock and the general shape of the pistol grip and how it directs that energy into you. I think this because I have two Mosin 9130s, and one of them has an original stock, another one has a reproduction stock. The one with the original stock, a little bit lighter, but not much lighter than the reproduction, yet it feels like it kicks so much more, and I think it just has to do with the angle at which it's being directed into your shoulder. But anyway, 4 more rounds. Man, the trigger on this thing is so sweet. It's a smooth pull to a dent to a wall, and it breaks maybe 5 pounds. All right, let's go check our target. So there's a group at 75 yards with the M48 Yugoslavian Mauser. I was putting the sight, I was aiming about like this. So I'm hitting inside of that triangle front post. Let's shoot 5 more and then we'll come down close. All right, we're gonna aim a little bit higher and see if we can get some right in the bullseye. Shoot 5 more, then we're gonna go down up close. I pulled that one. See, now I found my proper shooting position 8 rounds in. So here are my next 5. As I said, I pulled 1 or 2 of them, but then I got my shooting position 7 or 8 shots in. And You see, it's a fairly tight shooting gun. This is just user error. We could probably get this all within 1 MOA at 75. So anywhere from a 1 to 1.5 MOA gun is what we're looking at with the M48 Mauser, Yugoslavian made, Zastava. Alright, so we're at about 15 yards and we're just going to aim for that green circle where you see all the writing at. I think that's about us in a mess. See how good our target acquisition is at 15 yards using these buried sights. Now, I don't really use the sights that much this close, so I don't think it'll be a problem. And I don't have a shot timer, so I'll have to just do it in my head. Should have wiped that bolt down first. So we have 2 shots, maybe not quite A zone, but not bad. Let's do a couple more. Trigger's lighter than I expected. That first one went off pretty fast.